Hey, hey! So we're in section 5 of the Doctrine and Covenants. This is insight number 4 this week. Now, first thing I'm going to point out is that you're going to look at the dates in the section headings, because in the Book of Mormon we were looking at them down the bottom if you're reading from a book. If you're reading online, I don't exactly know where they are actually, because I like physical scriptures. So, but anyway, I think for this year's purpose, the section heading, even in Doctrine and Covenants, will have it. So that's up here. I'll tell you the date where it says the information about the section. So section 5 is in March 1829. Now it's again to Martin Harris, and we're talking about Martin Harris in the first one. Now Martin Harris it had been nearly a year, because the other one was in July 1828. This is March 1829. So almost a year since he'd lost them. And he came to Joseph Smith again, inquiring that, I want to be a witness of the gold plates, because I still believe in this Book of Mormon. I still believe in this book. You remember he'd been scribing for him at the very beginning, and he's, I want to be a witness of them. I want to be that. And so he inquired again. So Joseph Smith got this revelation for him in section 5. So it's an interesting read, being that it's given to someone who's already mucked up and isn't quite in the right place. Even though their desire is good, they're still not quite in the right place to get the answer to their desire. So this is a nice one where the Lord's speaking to someone who's just not quite there. So if you're feeling not quite there on something, or that you want to be further there, maybe read this and get some ideas on, how you could be better in that place to receive revelation, to receive those things that you want to get. Say, for example, like if you're wanting to go to the temple and your bishop said you're not quite ready, and you got a bit angry about it, because I have seen that happen, maybe pause. I want to say it's happened to me too. When I first went to the temple and I was going to get married in the temple, it's not my current husband, it's my ex-husband. And my bishop said to me, I don't think you're quite ready. And I'm like, I'm getting married in like 3 weeks. I have booked to go through the temple next week, because you have to book it. It was super busy. And he said, no, I don't think you're quite ready. I'll see you next week on the Wednesday, before I was supposed to go through the Saturday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't think I'm quite ready? What's going to change between now and Wednesday? Like, seriously? And in my youth and my bridal panic that I was going, who does that to a bride, right? But that's what a bishop does. He didn't see it that way. He just saw that I wasn't quite ready. He didn't think my attitude was quite right. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Because this needs to happen. So something like that, if you're feeling that, and I'm not saying that it's your fault, because it wasn't my fault. It was just I wasn't quite prepared, and Bishop had rightly picked up on that. My attitude wasn't quite right, and it was just a tiny little adjustment. So these are some verses that you can read over that, and just some reminders. It seems kind of harsh, but it's some reminders of how to keep you in that place you kind of need to be. If you want to receive revelation, if you want to be able to do those things in the church that you feel your calling or desire to do those things, maybe give this a shot. Alright, so verse 24 though says, Behold, I say unto him, he exalts himself and does not humble himself sufficiently before me. But if he will bow down before me and humble himself in mighty prayer and faith and the sincerity of his heart, then will I grant unto him a view of the things which he desires to see. And this was true of Martin. He was not humbling himself before the Lord sufficiently. He was probably saying prayers, but he was not humbling himself sufficiently. And the Lord said here, if you humble himself in mighty prayer and faith and the sincerity of his heart, then he'll get to see what he needs to see. Excuse me. And I've written down, my notes says, remember who gives you everything, and claim not these things of your own. Because, it's all Heavenly Father. It's all Jesus Christ. Me getting up today and being able to be here and do this is not me. The words I speak, I prepare like this much, and I speak 8 minutes worth. That's coming from Heavenly Father, and probably just babbling out and sometimes not even making sense, because it makes sense in my head, but, you know. So, I'm not saying that I'm continually prophesying, but, you know, I pray to have the words given me. And sometimes I'm saying stuff and I'm like, why am I telling that? I get promptings to say stuff in the middle of what I'm saying. Stories that come up that I've completely forgotten about. So, not everything I say is, but there's portions in there. And I absolutely credit my ability to do this, to have the technology, to make it work, to know how to get the internet, to upload everything. All of those little things that make up what you now see on your screen. Excuse me, not COVID. Is definitely from Heavenly Father. That knowledge and that that knowledge and the ability, definitely from the Lord and Heavenly Father. All them. So don't take the credit yourself. Humble yourself in recognizing Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ in all they do. You will be granted the most spectacular view of just how much is possible in this life. It's pretty cool. Are you guilty of not giving thanks and claiming the credit for yourself? Are you? It's not good. Think about that. Are you guilty of not giving thanks and claiming the credit for yourself? Now, it's alright if someone says to you, oh gosh, you did that. You can say, oh, thank you. But when you're speaking about it and saying, oh, I did this and I got really good at this and, you know, I did this and I did, and it's just like, yeah, I know you did it, but this needs to be some humility in there. And believe me, if you don't humble yourself, you'll get humbled, and that's not nice. So, do it first. All right. This quote's another old one, but a good one. It's from Ezra Taft Benson. He said, humility responds to God's will, to the fear of his judgments, and to the needs of those around us. To the proud, the applause of the world rings in their ears. To the humble, the applause of heaven warms their hearts. And I just love that last part there. To the proud, the applause of the world rings in their ears. And I know people like that, and I've seen people like that. But to the humble, the applause of heaven warms their hearts. And I would totally rather have the applause of heaven warming my heart. Absolutely, I would. All right. So that's that one. We're going to move over to verse 28. It's not far, but that's going to be insight number 5. All right. See you in a second.